So my name is Harouna, and I would like to talk to you about whether Hitler is a good leader or not. So, do anyone of you think Hitler is a good leader? Why?
I think he's not a good leader as in morality, but he was very persuasive and well-spoken, and so he attracted a lot of people. So
That's very true. So, Adolf Hitler, by the way, was the leader of the Nazi Party. So he joined the National Socialist German Workers in the 1919. So at that period in 1919, that was the end of the First World War. So Germany was blamed for causing the war, and they had to pay reparation fees for their damages they caused throughout the war. So the Germans were not satisfied because they felt like they were right. And so the rise of the Hitler, there was the beer hall putsch. That is the first step to where Hitler's popularity, increased. So, however, Hitler and his troops got arrested, and he went to jail for that. So that's when he actually wrote the book My Struggle, Mein Kampf. And after that, there was the Great Depression, where Hitler gained more votes, because when you have economic instability in the country, that results to political instability and the rise of the other parties. And at that period of time, people turned to the Nazi Party because that was like Hitler's speeches were, as you said, were actually convincing people to actually vote for them. So they got more votes. So there was the rise to power, where Hitler became chancellor in 1933. So before Hitler became chancellor, there was President Hindenburg. He was quite old, so he could not take over Germany. So he had to appoint 3 other leaders that were really unable to actually maintain the conflict in Germany at that period of time. So after the death of Hindenburg, Hitler becomes president, but he actually appointed Hitler in 1933, January 36th to be more specific. So later on, Hitler had full power over Germany, and that was just the end of it. So he had plans, because remember, like in 1923 when he got arrested, he wrote the book, and he actually specifically told people, okay, I'm going to invade this country, I will invade this country. And that's exactly what he did. He breached all the rules of the Treaty of Versailles, which was the treaty they signed in order to get Germany's reparation fees. They took the territories, and that actually caused a big economic instability in Germany at that period of time. So then Hitler withdrew Germany out of the League of Nations and started rearming Germany, which was still a breach of the rules of the Treaty of Versailles, because rearmaments was actually the main thing people were trying to avoid at that period of time. So as Hitler started rearming, other countries too started rearming, which will actually create a conflict later. So then Germany banned also the Communist Party, because they also were gaining more votes. The competition were between the Nazis and the Communists at that period of time. So Hitler introduces conscription and unites with Austria, because a part of Austria they're actually German raised, Then Hitler invades Czechoslovakia. Britain and France did not say anything at that time, but then he invades Poland, and then Britain and France actually signed a treaty with Poland saying, okay, we signed a treaty and we're going to protect you. And that is where Britain actually declared war. And that was the beginning of the Second World War. So, in conclusion, we could argue Hitler is a good leader, because although Germany was actually in a poor state during the First World War, he was actually able to bring them back up and actually prepare for the Second World War. And I think not every leader can actually do this. So, however, he was also a bad leader to a certain extent, because talking about he was killing the Jews, the gypsies, he was killing homosexuals and handicaps, And I think as a leader, you have to accept, you know, whether you're a handicapped, whether you're black, whether you're white. As a leader, you have to accept people's race and respect that. But at that period of time, people really did not have this mentality. So, yep, thank you for listening.